it is Aliki here and welcome to my video of 20 things you need to know before going to South America. I'm going to break down this video in 5 sections: money, transportation, safety, weather, and other things that I really wish I knew before I went on my 6-month journey around South America. Always have cash money with you. You might end up traveling for 3 or 5 days and not seeing any ATM. Also, in a lot of places you can't pay with a card. Every country has its own currency, so be aware of the exchange rates so you don't get ripped off. Do not buy SIM cards or data in the airports because airports charge loads. Get to the center, to the city center, and buy data and SIM cards there. The best company I can recommend is Claro. I used it in several countries and it worked really well for me. If something seems overpriced, it probably is. South America is a fairly cheap country, so if anyone is asking you like a crazy amount of money for something, then probably it is a scam. Also, do not buy tourist packages online. They tend to be more expensive than when you just go and buy an office in the city center. So shop local. For long distances, I definitely recommend night buses. In South America, the night bus system is perfect. It's cheap, it's good. Especially if you can't fall asleep on the long bus drives, then it's gonna be perfect. The best bus company I can recommend is Cruz del Sul. They are in several countries and I use them a lot, and yeah, the service is excellent. Also check internal flights. So if you're flying within the same country, there can be quite good deals, especially in Colombia. Do not use motorcycle taxis. First of all, they can be a scam. Second of all, even if it is not a scam, there is a really high death rate from the accidents happening from the what happened because of the motorcycle taxis. So we were advised by several locals not to use motorcycle taxis. I would recommend always going with Uber rather than the local taxi if you can, because of course there will be situations when you just have to take the local taxi because Uber doesn't work in some cities, but in most countries, in most places, Uber worked, and I highly recommend using Uber over local taxis. Reason for that is because local taxis will charge you more, and also it is safer to go with Uber because you have all the details of the driver. And I have to highlight this specific thing in Ecuador. It's just in Ecuador, also you have to be careful in every country about this, is that in Ecuador thieves actually try to rob you on a bus. Like bus robberies are like quite common, so they hide at the back of the bus for the long night bus rides when you fall asleep. Then they cut your bag under the seat, they take things out, and then they get out like early in the morning somewhere, because you can tell your driver, oh, can you drop me off here, and then just very early in the morning before everyone starts to wake up, they get out with your stuff. So that's quite common thing in Ecuador, but also of course you need to be careful in other countries with this too. And this brings me to my next section: safety. I think the main message I want to get across under this section is that South America is not as dangerous as news and everyone are saying it is. Yes, of course, there is crime, there is drug problems, that all happens, but I think like in every country, like the touristic spots, the touristic places, like you don't have that real danger there, so you're gonna be absolutely fine. I think the biggest thing you need to take in consideration and worry about are the protests, because people in South America know how to protest and they protest hard. Like they go full on it and they really try to make changes, and the protests can be very long. The protests can affect you because like the roads can be blocked, the buses can be cancelled. We happened to be in a one situation like that, but then we booked a flight and it was fine. So you can always find alternatives, but yes, you might get stuck somewhere, especially if you like backpacking for a long time and you don't have a specific plan. Then you might get stuck somewhere. These things do happen, you just have to be prepared for it. So I think, yeah, the main thing would be to watch out from protests and just be aware, just listen what's happening in the countries. If they are planning some protests and maybe you want to leave in advance, I think that's the main thing to watch out from. One big point I want to cover under safety is pickpockets, because they are everywhere, and if you're not going to be careful, they will get you. So always just be aware of your belongings. Make sure all your pockets are closed. Always keep your phone behind the closed pocket. I even sometimes put my bag in front of me when I was going through like big crowds and busy areas, because even locals, you're gonna see even locals putting the bag in front of you. So yeah, that was quite a good tip I used when I was in big crowds. And also at the same time, make sure you are not the only person on the street, because that's when they target you too. I think in general, just to summarize, that during the day you'll be completely fine visiting tourist sites and places, completely fine. I think you need to be extra aware when it gets dark, so that's when the pickpockets are the most active and the crime can happen. So if you go out for a dinner, I would definitely recommend taking a taxi back to your hotel or wherever you stay. Biggest myth: South America is hot. Wrong. Like, South America is so big. The biggest mountain system, Andes, are there, so a lot of beautiful, wonderful places are high up in the mountains, where it is cold all year long, where it is snowing. So yeah, definitely it's not a hot continent. It's a variety of everything, and that's why I love it. It's so diverse. But yes, you need to be ready for very hot days and very cold days up in the mountains. So yes, packing for South America can be quite difficult, but I actually have a whole separate dedicated video for what to pack to South America, so I'm gonna link it up here. As you may know, there is dry season and wet season, but it does rain during the dry season too, so always have your raincoat with you. Maybe this is just me, like from the Northern European point of view, but I felt like the sun in South America was extra strong. So I highly recommend always having a sunscreen with you, and I was also wearing hats and sunglasses because yeah, that kind of helped to avoid the strong sun too. So one major thing that I didn't know exists is altitude sickness, and it's real. I landed in Bogota. It was my first place in South America, and on the second day I fainted. And then another time in Ecuador, I was hiking up volcano, and after that hike I was having such a bad headache for like 3 hours. It was horrible. So that was like the other time when I realized that yes, altitude sickness is real. I think the main advice here is just give yourself 2-3 days to get used to the altitude. If you go, higher up to some cities, give it some time. Also, there are like some local remedies that can help you with altitude sickness, like this little a drink that you can sniff, and it helps you with altitude sickness if you're hiking. Or locals drink a lot of coca tea that apparently helps. Didn't help to me, but maybe can help to you. Or they also chew the leaves. So yeah, there are a lot of local remedies. Just if you do suffer with altitude sickness, ask anyone and they will help you with that. We traveled as digital nomads, and I assume a lot of you do too. So we were working and traveling, and of course for my videos I need really good Wi-Fi to edit them together and everything. So we actually always try to book a hotel with a good Wi-Fi, and there was always an option. There was a lot of hotels with average Wi-Fi, but so we always went with the one with the good Wi-Fi, so you can find options. Apart from Bolivia has a horrible Wi-Fi. Literally, you are in La Paz, like in this super big city, and none of the hotels have a good Wi-Fi. None of the cafes. Like, we struggled a lot to be able to find a good Wi-Fi place where to work in Bolivia. And I really don't want to be the one that like breaks it down to you, but you're gonna drink the worst coffee in South America. Like, I was so excited to go to South America, especially Colombia, and drink like the best coffee of my life, and that all is a lies. Basically, especially Colombia, they export all the good coffee to Europe. So actually in Europe we're drinking like the best coffee, and in South America they drink like the second tier coffee. It's called Tinto, and it's just like a very watery second tier coffee. And I literally stopped drinking coffee in South America. I moved on to the tea because it was just undrinkable. So yeah, I think we here in Europe are spoiled of having like the best coffee from Colombia, because all the first tier coffee from there is exported to Europe. So yeah, no good coffee for you in South America. One question I have received a lot is, can you survive in South America without Spanish? And my answer is yes, you can. But first of all, you're not gonna enjoy your time in South America as much as if you know some basic Spanish, because people are very friendly and you can just have like a very basic lovely conversations, and yes, understanding some signs and some things will help you a lot, because sometimes there isn't a sign in English, there are signs just in Spanish. So I think if you know the basic Spanish, at least regarding traveling and transportation and just like some basic conversation skills, you first of all gonna survive in South America, and also you just gonna enjoy the continent so much more. So I definitely highly recommend learning some basic Spanish before going to South America. And also Portuguese if you're planning to visit Brazil. And here I want to add that actually Brazil is so different from the rest of South America. I feel like it's like two completely different worlds. So I actually have a whole dedicated video of things you need to know before going to Brazil. I'm gonna link it right here. I also have a great summary of all my favorite places in South America, and I'm gonna link the video right here. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you in the next one.